face. What would it look like and would you want to see? If seeing meant that you would have to believe in things like heaven and Jesus and the saints and all the prophets. Oh yeah, yeah, God is great. Oh yeah, yeah, God is good. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. What if God were one of us? Just a slob like one of us, just a stranger on a bus, trying to make his way home, trying to make his way home, back up to heaven all alone, nobody calling on the phone, except for the Pope maybe in Rome. Just a slob like one of us, just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home, trying to make his way home, like a holy rolling stone, back up to heaven all alone, back up to heaven all alone. Back up to heaven all alone. Back up to heaven all alone. No capo here. This next one is actually one I wrote. I call it Headed Out to Find a Home, but it's actually the Ballad of Rick and Nancy. Well, that snow blows hard in Idaho. Moving it makes you tired. Life wants someplace warmer now that I've retired. Someplace with a sunny beach, less rain and snow and hail. A place where life is flowing and winter's not lying. We'll be headed out to find a home, someplace we've never been. A place where we can spend our days dancing with the wind. Well, I'm older now and wiser, I've nothing left to prove. Sold that place on Rover Creek, we planned the final loop. Headed south towards the Gulf, Mississippi way. Found a home in Gulfport, and now we're gonna stay. So we headed out to find a home somewhere we've never been. A place where we can spend those days dancing with the wind. That snow blows hard in Idaho. I'm grateful we're not there. Here in Mississippi, that weather's mostly fair. We walk our dogs on the beach, sporting great big grins. 'Cause here in Mississippi, life is good again. So we headed out to find a home someplace we've never been. A place where we can spend our days dancing with the wind. someplace we've never been. A place where we can spend those days dancing with the wind. Thank you. I don't have the music.
File in there, sure.
I probably got it memorized, but I'm not sure. Because we're doing that next week, right?
Right. It's not in my folder right here.
Yeah.
I have it over there.
Okay. We're up here talking because we finished 5 minutes early.
You want me to go get it? Or just place it? No, okay. I sent that to you. It's my fiddle.
That got more attention than anything else. You messing with a microphone. Good morning, and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Gulfport, Mississippi. I'm gonna have to get it. Yeah. Great. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? ¿Me oyes? Okay. Well, if you watch the Spanish-speaking channels, they have that same commercial, but it's in Spanish. All right. Again, good morning, and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Gulfport, Mississippi. Let's all stand to sing the opening song, Thank You for This Day.
radiant health, my radiant health, my radiant health. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. My glorious life, my glorious life, my glorious life. My glorious life, my glorious life, my glorious life. Thank you for my wealth, Spirit, thank you for my wealth. Thank you for my wealth, Spirit, thank you for my wealth. My opulent wealth, my opulent wealth, my opulent wealth. My opulent wealth, my opulent wealth, my opulent wealth. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
And let us pray. We open our hearts and minds to receive divine inspiration this morning at this very special place and time. May we allow Spirit to inform us of what is ours to release and what is ours to embrace. We open up, we release, and we receive as Spirit moves in, around, and through us. We are grateful for this glorious morning and for all those who are serving today of their gifts and talents. May we each be blessed in a special way. Amen. Do we have any first-time visitors this morning? We come together to affirm and celebrate our unity, our oneness with each other and with the source of all that is. In that spirit of unity, let us pause to enfold in light and in love all the people in our community and in our world. The candle of unity signifies the light within each of us and our connection to the source of all that is. And so it is. Let us affirm our faith. I have faith that God is my instant, constant, and abundant supply. I have faith that God provides ways when to human sense there is no way. I have faith that God is guiding me in all ways. My health, happiness, and success are assured. And now let's all enjoy. Will the circle be unbroken?
I was standing by that window on one cold and cloudy day when I saw a hearse come a-rolling to carry my mother away. Will that circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I told the undertaker, please drive slow for this body you are holding. Now I hate to see her go. Will that circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Will I follow close behind her, try to hold up and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow
lonesome 'cause my mother, she was gone. All my brothers and sisters crying in a home so sad I'm alone.
Will that circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. In the sky, Lord, in the sky. In the sky, Lord, in the sky. In that sky, Lord, in the sky.
Oh, thank you so much. I can still hear Mother Maybelle Carter singing that song. Can't y'all? Fabulous. Thank you. And now Tammy Breidenbeck will read to us the daily word.
Good morning. Today's daily word is, the focus is power. And it says, I look within and discover my power. Great power lies within me, like a treasure chest full of gold and precious jewels buried in my own backyard. It is so close that I sometimes overlook it, leading me to search near and far, seeking strength and value outside myself. Yet my power is in my potential, a gift for me to discover. Aren't we so much more powerful than we ever know? I am endowed with wisdom, love, and activity, creativity, gemstones that are meant to be uncovered and shared with the world. I am rich in my capacity to use these gifts to reach goals and create my life with intentionality. As I think, speak, and behave in accordance with my divine abilities, I share my treasures. I bring into the light the hidden parts of myself, knowing my power comes from expressing my best self. For we are what He has made us, created in Christ, for good works which God prepared beforehand to be our way of life. Ephesians 2, verse 10. Power.
Thank you, Tammy. Announcements are on the slide and are found on the back of the bulletin. Music night is this Friday, July 14th at 6 p.m. in the Fellowship Hall. I'm assuming that we are having pizza, but you are welcome to bring side dishes or desserts to accompany the pizza, which will not last long. Next Sunday after service, Sharon Eller will tell us all about Reiki and her book, Reiki in Everyday Life. Then at 1 o'clock, everyone is welcome to stay for a Reiki share. And we're going to have snacks for you after church as well next Sunday. And talk about snacks after church. I was just going to bring a little bit. Patty brought a lot. Judy brought a lot. I didn't know we were having a potluck. But y'all come on over directly after church. Even if you can't stay long, just get you a little bit to eat just to last you until you can get to the restaurant or get home and eat the food that you've cooked. If anyone has any specific prayer request, we have a prayer box at the back of the room that is prayer request forms you can fill out. Place your prayer request forms in the box so that we may pray for them here and at Silent Unity. And now, Reverend Judy will come to the stage for a time of contemplation.
Thank you, Beth. Good morning, everybody. So good to see everyone here. How wonderful. What a gorgeous group of people we have this morning, and some that haven't been here for a while. We're so glad to see you. I believe I saw Patricia Patterson's son here this morning. Is that right? I thought so. Welcome. Thank you for being here this morning. We sure do miss her. We miss her so much. She used to come regularly before the pandemic. And then we sure were sorry to hear of her passing. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Now, Rick, I need to ask you something. That song, Made Circle.
Yeah.
Where did you say you heard it being sung? I just heard part of what you were saying this morning as you were speaking.
When I was younger, a church moved in to our neighborhood. We were not really neighborhood, just a lot of houses out in the middle of nowhere. And it was a Pentecostal church, and I was a Baptist. And I mean, I don't mean to disparage the Baptists, but their music is boring. And in the evenings when they were having church service, I would just kind of escape the drama of my house. I would go sit outside the church and listen to their music. And I just thought it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard.
Oh, well, you certainly did do a wonderful job of it this morning. That was great musicians. All the music has been. Thank you for that. I grew up in a Baptist church like that. It was one that was very traditional and serious, and you sure didn't want to act like you were joyful or having fun. That didn't go along with it. There was no joy associated with it. So I know exactly what you're saying. We sang a lot of mournful songs. I do remember that, and some of them were beautiful. But yeah, that was just spectacular. Wow. Good job. And this morning I know that we have several prayer requests. Charles is said to thank you for the prayers. He is certainly getting better. He can drive now. But as you know, as a musician, or most of us know, we really need to get a good full breath. And so it's going to still be several weeks before he's will be singing with us again. So prayers are appreciated, and just keep them coming. I heard from Chuck Stewart this week, and some of you know him, and his mother, Sandra. She's been sent home from the hospital with congestive heart failure, and she's in hospice care. Shelby and I dropped by there the other day, and when we stopped by, his older brother was there with her, and she was asleep, so we didn't disturb her. But she did tell Chuck later, she said, "Oh, Miss Judy came to see me, and she brought that little songbird with her." So she missed the little songbird more than she missed me. But prayers, please, for ease and grace and comfort for Miss Sandra. She sure is a special person, and we just pray for her and the family, Miss Sandra. So, and then we know that Lewis is still in rehab. He's in Pascagoula, and Vicki said that he is recovering, but still has a whole lot of pain. So any prayers for Lewis would be appreciated as well. And Sean's here. We're glad. Looking good. Good from your surgery. So anyone else have a special prayer request this morning? Yes, Robin.
So who here has seen one of Darrell Hall Ministries
don't know.
Cricket's on that one. I can't believe it. He's out of Jackson or?
Daryl Hall Ministries. Uh-huh.
I've been watching his ads for years, and he has one where he finishes it off in this way where I expect he's being genuine, but it actually kind of came out differently for me, and I wonder how many other folks that might have been for him. But in any event, he passed away.
Okay. Daryl Hall passed away. Daryl Hall passed away. Thank you.
Apparently, I'm going to have to do the whole thing over again. Ready? Good? All right. Pardon me. Daryl Hall Ministries up there by Jackson passed away the other day. They announced it on WLOX. And he'd been running ads on that station for years. He has one where he ends it with something about, may prayers and blessings be upon you real good. But the real good part, he needed to redo it. It was not good. And if I ever came across him, I was going to say something about it. However, he passed away the other day, and I'm not going to get a chance to kind of help guide him away from that sort of deal. So thoughts and prayers to him and his team. You got to do a lot of work to be advertising on TV and doing your thing like that. And so in our world and our church world, I feel like we probably lost a pretty good fella.
Okay.
So there you go.
Okay. Thank you, Robin. Thank you. So this morning, we're going to, if you would, just pray with me for all these prayer requests, those that have been mentioned and those not mentioned. We include those in this sacred time this morning where we're praying with intention from our hearts directly to the heart of God for the absolute best in every situation. Comfort, ease of fear and pain, and seeing the best situation and all the problems that we have going on in our lives. We pray divine order in all those and more. And this morning, before we have the meditative music, I want to remind you something that I've been reminding you of now for 2 or 3 weeks. And that is that you have worth. You have value. I hope you will claim that. Hope you will acknowledge that. And when they sing this next beautiful song, I want you to know what a sacred experience you're in for. I want to prepare you just a little bit for that, so that you'll have the best experience possible. There's a song that our musicians perform, and it was originally performed by a musician named Lauren Daigle. And she said that she'd had difficulty all of her life with self-esteem and self-worth. And she wrote the words to this song. She says, I keep hearing voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I just more than just the sum of every high and every low? remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. And the chorus is, you say, I am loved when I can't feel a thing. And of course, she's talking to God. You recognize that. I hope that everyone recognizes that. It's not just a typical love ballad. You say, I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say, I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say, I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say, I am yours. I believe. I believe. Now she goes on to say, the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me, 'cause in you I find my worth. In you I find my identity. You say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I'm falling short. And when I don't belong, you say I am yours. So I hope you will listen with your heart, your mind, your entire being, as these magicians posed as musicians today share this beauty with you.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high or every low? Remind me who I am, because I need to know. Ooh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short. When I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe.
What you say of me,
I believe. The only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth. In you I find identity. Ooh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. When I believe, oh, I believe
what you say of me.
I believe, oh, I believe, yes, I believe
What you say of me. I believe.
I told you. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Now we're doing something a little bit different today, and we're going to do it several Sundays this summer. And I know that you're going to find it interesting. You're going to enjoy it. And I told my friend Reverend Alice that, bless her heart, she's going to be the test run on this one. We chose her first. She said she woke up this morning and wondered why she had agreed to do it. And no, it's going to be good. We're going to ask her some questions about her fantastic life and the good that she has brought with her wherever she has gone. And that's a fact. I first met my friend Alice in, was it 2008? Around there. Yes, she brought a group of students from, she'll tell you in a minute, more details. I'm just sketching it right now. After Katrina, she came down to the coast because she knew there were huge needs here. And so she then decided it was her purpose. She had a purpose right here, and she started an organization, the Interfaith Disaster Recovery Group. And she headed that up for about 5 years, and then someone else recruited her. But it's where I first met her. They put on several programs that were extremely interesting, and 4 of us went to when you put on a program for first responders and safety in churches and organizations. And I know Diane went with me, and Bobby and Joyce Youngblood. And then she sponsored several conferences, workshops, and just all sorts of get-togethers. And it was just the most interesting thing when I look back on it from my perspective, is that when I first met her, I just latched onto her like I'd known her forever. And she became a very, very important person to me. And so I was always looking for her emails, any correspondence at all from her personally or from her organization. And then we invited her to come over a few times to speak, and we were still in the other building then, and just became friends. I just latched onto her for sure, I know that, and just wouldn't let go. But, and then she was the executive director of Back Bay Mission for at least 5 years. So we're just so glad to have her. We're so glad she moved from North Carolina down here to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Reverend Dr. Alice Graham, would you come to the stage? At these chairs that were so many people here. No, you're accustomed to more than that. You've just been taking a sabbatical. So this morning, it is our special pleasure to do this. I get to ask her a few questions where I get to highlight some of the things that I know have been special in her life. And another thing I want to tell you too is another synchronicity is that she's going to share with you that when she grew up, she went to a school in Chicago that was sponsored by the Sisters of Providence. It just so happens that I was drawn to a graduate school that was founded by those same Sisters of Providence in Terre Haute, Indiana. Went there for my master's degree, came back to Bay St. Louis and found out it was one of the founding fathers there that had come over from France that came down to Bay St. Louis and founded a sanctuary there. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of synchronicities going on with those Sisters of Providence. They're some powerful little ladies, though, I'll tell you. They still are. They're going to change the world on their own. So, my dear friend Alice, would you tell us a little bit about your early life, where
yes,
you were?
Yes, Oprah Gail King, that you are.
Yes, Oprah.
What do I need to?
Oh, that'd be better.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right, okay. Technology is not my friend. Can you hear me? I didn't go to school for technology. First of all, thank you, Judy, for inviting me to share. I have 77 years worth of life, and I'm going to try to respond as succinctly as I can to your questions. Okay. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. In a very segregated city at that point. And poor, single parent who was committed to the fact that her children would have an education that would allow them to live a fuller life than she was able. And so she often worked 2 jobs. But we went to Catholic schools. I went to 12 years of Catholic schooling. And in elementary school, it was the Sisters of Mercy, who had very little mercy. But they gave me a good foundation, despite all of my resistance to receiving that. Well, I really wasn't. I was a very compliant child because I really saw how hard my mother was working and working 2 jobs, and I did not want to cause her any distress. And the song that the choir just sang reminded me so deeply of, as a little girl, feeling like I didn't belong, that I was not liked, I was not accepted, despite my mother constantly trying to build up my self-esteem, because there was a larger world saying that I did not belong, I was not accepted. Went on to Providence High School, which was a predominantly white high school. Now, the thing that really shaped this period is that my mother, committed to her 3 children having a good education, worked 2 jobs. We had very little money, and my brothers and I could not understand why she was spending money to send us to school, to private Catholic schools, when we could go to the public school. But her response was, "You won't get the education you need. So shut up." Well, she didn't. She would never say shut up. She would say, just do your work. Just do your work. And so that commitment has been a part of who I am. Commitment to doing the best you can despite the circumstances. So I went on to high school, graduated, was declared an underachiever because I never did well in math. I was always very good in history and language and all of that, but was horrible in math. And I measured myself by math. So really never really appreciated how well I did in other subjects because I was so poor in math. So went on, graduated, went to Spelman. Spelman College is a historically black college in Atlanta, Georgia. I thought it was too much for my mother to pay, but my mother insisted that I go to this women's college because, again, she wanted me to have the best that she could give me. And at Spelman is where I've found my voice as an African-American woman and as a learner. Because up to that point, I didn't see myself as a learner. I could do what I saw as being the easy stuff, reading and writing, but I couldn't do the arithmetic. So leaving Spelman, graduating, and finding out my brain did work, and ended up, I always had, because my mother worked so hard, I blame her. I always had these grand ideas. I'm going to change the world. And so some recruiters from Housing and Urban Development, the old HUD, some of you know that, they came to Spelman and they hired me as a relocation advisor for HUD. Well, I was very excited because that sounded like a title, a really big title, and I'd be able to do really big things. Well, basically it meant reviewing paperwork. And after 8 months, I told my mother I couldn't stand it. I can't keep doing this. It's not gonna, and she said, you have to have a job, Alice. And so then I'd met a number of people in my growing up, women who were social workers. And so one of those social workers told me I should go down and become a social worker. So I did that for a year and a half until I realized that I was not making any difference there. Because when you're seeing 80 kids in a month, you're not making any difference. So I was frustrated. What do I do? And the one thing I thought I would never do was to teach. I really didn't value the teachers that I had had very much, so I wasn't going to teach. But I got an opportunity, and I still don't remember exactly how this happened, to be a part of a special program for people who did not have a teaching background. They hadn't gone to school for teaching. And I said, okay, I'll try this. I loved it. Something that I never thought I would be able to do. I loved. And that's how I spent the first 5-6 years, 4 years, I spent it teaching 5th and 6th graders, like those little ones back there.
Oh.
5th and 6th graders social studies, which was my skill set. I learned. I was beginning to value the fact that I really did love history. I loved the social sciences. And the arithmetic, I really didn't have to count very much.
Wonderful. Well, and then you went on to study theology.
Yeah. I experienced a call to ministry, and I thought I was going to go for Christian education. And I had one of those mystical experiences, riding the L. If any of you know Chicago, there's the L station. And one day I'm riding along on the L, and it's pouring down rain, and I look out of the window, and there's this clearing, and I'm going, what's going on? And just heard the words, preach. And I went, huh? And then I looked around, who else is seeing this? Well, everybody else on the L train was just riding along. And I went, oh, okay. So then I went to the pastor, because at that point I'd become African Methodist Episcopal as a result of my first husband. And that's how I got out of the Catholic Church. And went to the pastor, and I said, I think I've been being called to preach. And he looked at me and said, no, you're not. But ever since I was a little girl, I've had this kind of internal sense of what was right for me, that God and I had a relationship. And I just looked at him and said, well, I guess God will let you know. And I went on to seminary and did my MDiv, Masters of Divinity, and then went on to do a doctorate in pastoral psychology and counseling, because I really wanted to understand how people emotionally and spiritually put their lives together. And I thought that field would help me understand that. And I had this big idea that I was going to transform the African Methodist Episcopal Church as a result of my education. They were not waiting for me. But for 30 years, I had a practice in pastoral psychology and counseling, where I had the opportunity to work with lots of different kinds of people from a lot of different backgrounds. And this world that we live in around race is so messed up, shall I say that. When I first went to Washington, D.C., that's where I went after I finished my doctorate, and worked in pastoral counseling centers of Greater Washington for about 15 years. Their first question, their concern, they knew I had the background. I had the skills. I was a graduate of Northwestern, there's no question. But their first question was, well, where will we place you? Because we don't know if white people will use you. And there was one guy there who was directing one of their centers who said, I'll take her. And I ended up having the opportunity to work in Manassas, Virginia. And if you know Virginia, that was not a bastion of freedom and liberty and justice for all. But I worked with some wonderful people who allowed me to engage them in an exploration of their lives. And I learned a lot about white people in that experience, and learned a lot about myself and what it meant to be a minister to all people, not just to some people. So then, you're going to learn more about me than you wanted to know. My second husband and I opened up a pastoral counseling center, and worked at that pastoral counseling center for 6 years, doing all kinds of stuff, working with Head Start programs, consulting in churches, trying to bring a message that we're all human beings. And we all have trauma. We all have flaws. We all have a need to grow beyond our raising. And so I did that, got burnt out, got an opportunity to move to North Carolina. In response, I have these questions I get asked. I was at a conference and I said to a colleague, a white colleague, and I said, what can a black woman do in North Carolina? He looked at me and said, absolutely nothing. So, because I'd always wanted to move to North Carolina for some reason. I don't know. It was just a place that I thought I was supposed to move to. And he called me a couple months later. He said, you still interested in coming to North Carolina? And I said, yeah, what's up? He said, well, we'd like to offer you a position. And so I was going to be the first African American on their staff. And then I also took a part-time position at Hood Theological Seminary, which morphed into a full-time position, and I taught at Hood for 10 years. And that's where the journey to Mississippi began. And a friend of mine, a Lutheran pastor, was assigned to the coast after Hurricane Katrina. And I said to her, what can I do to be helpful? She said, bring your students down. Huh. It did not occur to me that I was coming to Mississippi, though.
Oh.
And you know, my mind, me and God and, you know, the Lord and He lets me know, she lets me know what she wants me to know so I can take the next step. And I don't get the whole picture. On the van, bringing 8 students down, I realized I was going to Mississippi. And I had a real meltdown. And I told my students, who were black and white, and I said, okay, we're going to Mississippi. We have to stay together. We don't go anywhere by ourselves. They thought I'd lost my mind. So we got to Mississippi. We stopped for lunch here on the coast. And we walked into the Mellow Yellow restaurant on the coast. Some of you know that. And the waitress said, asked one of the students, what were we doing? And she said, the student said, we've come to help you recover from Hurricane Katrina. She turns around and announces it to the restaurant, that's why we're there. And the restaurant applauds. It was a magical moment, a mystical moment, because at that point I knew I was okay and that my students would be okay. And so we spent a whole week learning how to do ministry in the midst of a communal disaster. And met Judy, met a lot of people during that time, and they weren't I grew up in Chicago, Emmett Till, you know, that story. But it wasn't the Mississippi that I had been hearing about. It was a very different place. And so went back to seminary, continued teaching, and one of my students said that to this day, I do not know or remember the student who said this to me. You're going back to Mississippi, Dr. Graham. I said, no. I mean, I know people. I go back there, and I like it there. He said, no, you're going to Mississippi. And he said it with such conviction that I had to pay attention. And I prayed about it. And I spent a whole summer in a process of discernment. And it got clearer and clearer to me that I was to move to Mississippi. Now, I was in my 60s, full professor. Okay, Lord, what in the world are you doing? And went to tell the president that this would be my last year teaching. And he looked at me and he said, well, do you have a job? Where are you going? I said, I don't know. I just know I'm going to Mississippi, and this will be my last year teaching. And he wouldn't accept my resignation. And I just said, okay, you don't have to, but I'm leaving. And he did finally accept it. And I still didn't have a job. And it was March. I didn't have a job. I was a teacher. You don't make a lot of money teaching. didn't have much savings. Okay, God, all right, well, something's got to give. And so Roberta Avila, who is the previous director of Interfaith Disaster Task Force, she called me and said, I've decided to take another position. And would you be willing for the board to get your name and for the part-time position, and then you can figure out what else you're going to do. So I said, okay, I can do this. And then it was going to cost me an arm and a leg to move. And another friend I had made called and said, when I was talking to her, and she said, and I was telling her how much it was going to cost, she said, oh no, we've been talking about this. There's 7 of us are coming down to move you. So I said, okay, moving is taking, all I had to do was rent a truck. Well, that was quite a bit less than the cost of moving expenses. So I said, okay. Then another friend called and said, have you found a place to live yet? I said, no, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Oh, my daughter has a house that she's about to renovate, and she says you can live in it rent-free until you find. So I moved. And got the full-time position at that point it was Interfaith Disaster Task Force. And I'm really a very shy person. But I knew that to be effective at Interfaith Disaster Task Force, I was going to have to meet people, because I had to raise funds because they didn't have any money. And I said, okay, teach me how to do this, because this is not, I taught, but when you're teaching to a context, to a, But here I had to go out and speak and be, and even when you're preaching within a context. Well, I raised a lot of money for Interfaith Disaster Task Force, and decided it was time for me to leave. Really burnt out by all the fundraising. It was not my long suit. And then a friend said Back Bay Mission had an opening. And I said, oh no, I'm not doing another nonprofit. It's too stressful, the raising of money. And she said, this is the job for you, Alice. And I want you to pray about it. Or she's not a church woman. She says, whatever you do, do that. Because I think this is the job for you. And she was on the board at Back Bay Mission. And I prayed about it, and okay. And I found out about the UCC and found the work that Back Bay Mission was doing, and I said, okay, is this it? And I interviewed for it. And for the first time in my life, I was very clear that I was the one who was to do this work at Back Bay Mission. And they asked me, the last question they asked me in that interview was, why should we choose you? And it stopped me for a minute, because that's not my style to boast and say. For me, that's boasting. And I said, because I'm the best person for the job. And I went down the list of skills that I would bring. And I went, who is talking here? And they offered me the job. I got the job, and I stayed at Back Bay Mission for 6 years.
Wow.
I had agreed to stay for 5. I was going to stay for 3. They negotiated for 5. I stayed for 6.
Well, everything you've said sort of reinforces what I spoke of last week, and that was to align yourself with God. And if you do, with the flow of life, and you keep your intentions there, that you will know and you will be guided. It may be slow, and you may do it one step at a time, but you will always know, and you won't have to always worry about if you're going the right direction. But yeah, and I was going to ask you too, we have some young people, and we have a train coming too. First, we have some young people in the audience today, and I know that with the life that you led, and I know that you've been through a lot of challenges. You overcame them, and I know that your life's goal or mission was to make the world a better place, and we can certainly see that you've done that. Do you have any advice you'd give these young people?
Listen for your heart. Listen for your heart. Learn how your heart speaks to you. It's not going to be like how someone else's heart speaks to them. And you may make mistakes in your listening. But that's the process of learning your heart's voice. That's the process. Know that you are a unique individual. No one else was put on this earth to be you. You are the only one, and you have to learn and discover through the things that life throws at you who you are. The challenges that come are for your growth. The failures that you experience are for your growth. The successes you get to celebrate, but those failures are the ones that grow you. Learning who you are and how your heart speaks to you, from my experience, is the most critical aspect of growing up, of growing and aging into wisdom.
Wow. Wow. We have loved getting to know you better, and look forward to seeing you more and hearing more from you. And thank you so much for these words of wisdom. And we're going to make a clip of that, what you just said, and advertise that everywhere. Thank you so much, Dr. Alice Graham.
Thank you, Reverend Judy, and thank you, Reverend Alice. Now, we give expression to our appreciation for all that is offered here at Unity of Gulfport. Please take your offering in your hands and say along with me, divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love, and I trust in God. Thank you.
Peace.
1, 2, 3, 4. Peace will come. Peace will come. Peace will come. And let it begin with me. We need peace. We need peace. We need peace. And let it begin with me. Oh, my own life. let it begin with me, and let it begin with me.
Wow, that was beautiful too. We just keep getting amazed this morning, don't we? This has been a perfect morning. Thank you. Thank you for the God that sent you to us. We are so grateful. So grateful. You guys too. Good job. Wow. Wow. And all of you. Every person here this morning, we give thanks for their presence, for the love, for everything that you bring here and take back with you into the world. We're also grateful for these gifts, and we just ask that they would be blessed and used for the absolute highest good. Amen. Kids.